On this throwback, we're going to be looking at Movie Maniacs Scream Ghostface. Now don't adjust your, I was going to say don't adjust your sets, but don't adjust your computer. Yes, the packaging is yellow. And one of the sad side effects to having your figure mounted on the wall in your bedroom with the sunlight shining on the figure round the clock. As you can see, the packaging has gone yellow, and actually it doesn't look as bad on camera as it does in person. The packaging is quite yellow. The card has stayed pretty good though. I mean, it hasn't faded too much, so it's not as bad as it could be. But as you can see, there's a picture of Ghostface up at the top corner there. And just pan the camera back down here. This was a throwback that I personally wanted to do because, unfortunately, the original review I did of this guy, it was during my time that I really didn't know what kind of intro I wanted to do, and I ended up picking this horrible music. But I wanted to actually go back and do it a little bit better than when I did the first time, because Scream and Ghostface has always been one of my favorite looking villains from the horror movie franchises. Certainly he's not on the level of a Jason Voorhees or a Michael Myers or even a Freddy, but from a 90s, and Scream really ushered in like the 90s style of horror movie icons. Between him, the Fisherman, I suppose the lesser known, well, there was Wishmaster and stuff like that, but I mean, Scream really was the one that opened the door for the the killer kind of horror movies that were big in the 90s. And while Urban Legend, I think, is still one of my favorite horror movies from the 90s, I still got to give the nod, got to tip the hat to Scream for really ushering in those styles of movies. On the back of the packaging, the other figures in this wave, the Michael Myers from Halloween, there's Eric Draven from The Crow, and we've got Norman Bates from Psycho, we got Bride of Chucky, Child's Play 2 Chucky, we've got Ghostface, and we've got Pumpkinhead. I had all of these characters, I had all these figures a while back. I was collecting Movie Maniacs before I collected anything else, and in my infinite wisdom, I sold all of my Movie Maniacs, aside from really a handful of characters. In the Movie Maniacs here, I sold everything except for Scream. And why I did that, I really don't know, because now, especially now that I'm reviewing on YouTube, I really regret, and I wish I had them still. If not for me, so at least I can give you guys reviews of them. But there's packaging on Ghostface. What we'll do is we'll open this guy back up, and we'll do a better figure review, hopefully, than the original. But we'll open this guy up, and we'll have a better look at Ghostface. So stay tuned, guys. Much more to come. And now that he's out of the package, let's get a good look at Ghostface. Now, Ghostface, unfortunately, being an older figure that he is, and the fact that he's from the Movie Maniacs line, his articulation is very limited. Very limited indeed. I'll go through the articulation first because it'll probably be the shortest part of this review. As you can see, his arm swivels at the elbow here. You can swivel the wrist. You can swivel, oh, there's a trend going on here. You can swivel at the shoulder. Same idea on this arm here. You can rotate the head. Not by really a lot though. And you can rotate the waist. And finally, you can rotate the feet, or the shoes that he's sporting. That is it. That is all he's going to do. He is sculpted nice, but unfortunately the way he's sculpted, like for example, this arm is always going to be up. You can have it down, but the only thing is he's either doing I'm a little teapot, or he's got to have his hand up. You can kind of have it midway if you want, but then it looks a little awkward. As old as the figure is, and as unfortunate, limited as the articulation is, the sculpt is really nice. The sculpt, as you can see, his cloak is all nicely sculpted. His hood is nicely sculpted. And I'll admit, still to this day, Ghostface has one of the scariest looking masks. Obviously depicted from the famous painting The Scream. I really I love the sagging eyes and the mouth. It is still to this day an iconic looking face. There is rumor, and I don't know, I think it's gone further than rumor. Apparently Scream 4 is in production. I don't know if Neve Campbell or Courtney Cox will be coming back for that. I don't know what they will do with it necessarily, but I did like the original Scream. The sequel, Scream 2 and Scream 3, I found were disappointing. Scream 2, one of those examples of, at the very end, they reveal the killer and you're like, who? Yeah, Scream 2. Definitely got watered down, but the original still is still a classic, at least in my eyes. The only downside really though is, as cool as Scream was, this is the only Ghostface figure they have released. I hope NECA or Mezco get the rights to some of these older figures, and I hope that they do release a more articulated version of Ghostface than this. As you can see, even like the bottom of his cloak is just a solid piece. Would be nice that maybe future releases would have this as a soft plastic and you could still move the legs underneath. Now, the accessories that Ghostface includes, aside from the very familiar backdrop standee, if you want to call it that, Movie Maniacs back in the day were very known for having these skull. In fact, the molds generally stayed the same until later releases where it was just the lower base and then it held the cardboard poster. But the older Movie Maniacs had these full-size, I mean, they were taller than figures. They had these full-size standees, and I thought they were kind of neat because, I mean, especially for displays, if you had each of the figure with these displays, I thought that was a nice little touch. Unfortunately, they didn't have the Scream poster that featured Drew Barrymore on it. They just opted for the Ghostface poster, and I believe they didn't have rights for the actual Scream poster. That may or may not be the case. The other accessories he does include is the I would imagine, I mean, this is a given that he would include this. He comes with his cell phone, which he uses quite often in the movie. The funny thing is, though, he has a little hole in his hand, a little peg on the back of the cell phone. You can actually have him holding his cell phone, but as you can see, it's not really that he's holding it. It's kind of stuck to his hand. And I don't know. Kind of looks a little silly, maybe. He also does come with his butcher knife. Very hard looking butcher knife too. I mean, he's going to do some real damage with that. But you can put it in his hand. Whoa, try not to. Oh no! Look what happened. The knife broke. I was just putting it in his hand too. I'm going to have to glue that. I think in time, I think for how old this figure is, the plastic, especially on the knife, has gotten a little brittle. As soon as I put the knife in his hand, the blade broke right off. So sad. I guess he's not going to kill anyone with a knife handle. Although there is a little piece of steel still there. I guess he could kind of scratch you. Oh, that's a shame. That is a shame. But yes, he does come with a butcher knife as well. Although not much good it's going to do now. But a great figure. A great figure. It is an old figure. I mean, it's... so you kind of have to overlook the fact that, yes, the articulation isn't going to be as spectacular as some of the newer released, like Mezco figures. But I'm really hoping that whether Mezco does it or NECA does it, I'm hoping that they're going to do a 90s line and give us a Ghostface, a fisherman from I Know What You Did Last Summer, the hooded killer from Urban Legend. You know, maybe do like those kind of series of figures. Maybe do another Creeper. I know there was already a Creeper that was released, but I would like to see a 90s wave of figures. And I think right at the top of the list should be Ghostface here. A figure that's crying to be remade. A figure that's almost crying to be done a throwback to. Kind of like what I'm doing right now. But a great figure nonetheless. Can't really rate it very high. I'd probably give it about a 6, maybe a 7. I have to, you know, acknowledge the fact that it is a bit of an older figure, but definitely a figure that needs to be remade. But that was a throwback on the very, to this day, still a very creepy looking killer. That was a throwback on the Movie Maniacs Scream, and that was Ghostface. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed this throwback, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.